Assalamualaikum guys, my name is Shamhana Madihah binti Aziz and I'm going to talk about complement that. Firstly, what is it about? Okay, it's a complementizer. It follows verbs rather than nouns, and also it can't be replaced with which, and it contains an overt subject. That complement occurs after many verbs, including reporting verbs, verbs that express mental acts, affective predicates, and also verbs that request or demand. Okay, that complement also immediately follows the main clause verbs. Example, he thinks that she is beautiful, which is noun phrase, verb, that, noun phrase, adjective. However, noun phrase also you can add another noun phrase, like he told her that she is beautiful, which is noun phrase, verb, noun phrase. Of the verbs just now that I mentioned, which is reporting verbs. Examples of it is like reply, say, tell. Example, she replied that he must have been mistaken. Second, verbs that express mental acts like believe, comprehend, feel, find, guess, know, see, think, and understand. Okay, example, she comprehend that this would mean a big change to her lifestyle. Next is affective predicates, which is like bear in mind, know, regret, understand, comprehend. Example, she must bear in mind that she must obey the rules in school. Next, verbs of request or demand. Example, ask, demand, insist, recommend, stipulate. Okay, this must be followed by a that complement containing a bare infinitive. Example, we recommend that she accept his offer. Next is I'm going to talk about negative phrasing, or what you call not transportation. This moves the negative element not out of a that complement and into a main clause without changing the meaning of the sentence. It's only possible for certain verbs. Example, I think that he won't come, or I don't think that he will come. Okay, negative phrasing also can occur with main clause verbs such as anticipate, believe, expect, imagine, suppose, think. Okay, several verbs such as appear and seem with extrapose that complements too. Only verbs like this from above that I've mentioned are suitable, because if you move the not out of the complement, it would be resulting the change of meaning. Example, we forgot that she doesn't like him. We didn't forget that she likes him. See, both of them have different meanings.
Infinitive complements are non-finite clauses with two. They may or may not have overt subject. Different groups of verbs take different types of infinitive complements. There are 4 types of infinitive complements.
For infinitive complement, the first type is for persuade verbs. The verbs such as advise, authorize, cause, compel, convince, order, persuade, and tell are transitive and therefore must have an NP object. These verbs are called influence verb, which is manipulative. The pattern for type 1 is as shown on the screen, where NP2 is the complement subject and the complement subject is the object of NP. For example, Alice persuaded John to come to the party. Through passivization, we can confirm that John is the object of persuade, which is the noun phrase. For type 2, it is comprises of one verbs. One verb is a group of verbs such as hope, like, promise, and want either can or must occur without a following NP. For example, Joanne wanted or hoped to write a letter to the mayor. With one verbs, we have three patterns. The first pattern is for hope verbs. Hope verbs, the pattern is as shown on the screen, and for NP1, it is the complement subject. For example, Joanne hopes to leave the party early. The second pattern is for one verbs, where it can also have following NP in the sentences. The pattern is as shown on the screen, where noun phrase 2 is only the complement subject, and it is not the object of NP. For example, Joanne wanted Bill to leave the party early. The third pattern is for promise verbs, where you can see the pattern on the screen, and the noun phrase 1 is the complement subject, and it is also the object of NP. For type 3, it comprises of belief verbs. Belief verbs is such as acknowledge, believe, consider, and judge. The complement contains be plus an NP or an adjective. With these verbs, there is always an NP. The rule of subject raising moves the complement subject. For example, everyone believed Einstein to be a genius, or everyone believed Einstein to be brilliant. The pattern for type 3, there are two patterns. The first one is as shown on the screen, where the example is we consider Alan to be an expert in these matters. So if subject of main clause is identical to the subject of complement clause, the latter become a reflexive pronoun. When subject of complement is raised into object position in the main clause, it is converted into reflexive pronouns such as himself, herself, and many more. Because of this rule, the pattern becomes the second one, which you can see on the screen. And the example is he considers himself to be an expert in these matters. The fourth type is for make verbs. Make verbs such as have, let, make, and it involves a bare infinitive. For example, Bill had Susan revise the article she had submitted. So in these sentences, there is no to or to be, and the NP that occurs after the verb is the subject of complement. And the pattern for type 4, you can see on the screen. So there are two groups of verbs that do not take infinitive complements, but that may be confused with those that are. The first group is description or classification verbs such as accept, characterize, classify, describe, intend, and more. For example, I would describe him as intelligent. And the second group is naming verbs such as appoint, baptize, christen, crown, elect, and name. For example, we appointed her secretary treasurer.
Gerund complements are non-finite clauses that have verb in the present participle form. They may or may not include a subject. When a gerund complement is lacking an overt subject, the subject is generally understood to be the main clause subject.
So, verbs that take gerund complements include single word verbs: avoid, dislike, enjoy, favor, finish. For example, Ellen enjoys watching football on television. The second is prepositional verbs such as agree on, count on, decide on. For example, he counted on receiving his check today. And the third one is phrasal prepositional verbs such as look forward to, get away with. For example, they are looking forward to seeing you next week. And the subject of gerund complements depends on the verb. For some verbs such as finish or practice, there is no overt subject, and the subject is understood as identical to the main clause object. For example, the kids need to practice catching fly balls. And for some verbs such as anticipate, discuss, enjoy, there may or may not be an overt subject. If no overt subject, the subject may be understood as the main clause subject. For example, we discuss paying the bill. The sentences is for where there is no overt subject. Or we discuss you paying the bill. These sentences is for when there is overt subject, or as the listener or people in general, for verbs like advise, recommend. For example, I recommend calling for an appointment, or I recommend their calling for appointment. So overt subjects are possessive for most verbs, although often non-possessive forms are used in speech. For example, we discuss John's leaving early, or we discuss his leaving early. These sentences are for written sentences. For speech, for example, we discuss John leaving early, or we discuss him leaving early. For the second one, it is for non-possessive forms for certain verbs like catch, keep, find, hear. For example, she heard them telling a lie. Verbs that take gerund complements can be grouped by meaning. Prominent among these groups are, the first group is interception verbs such as behold, discover, catch, come upon, and find. For example, she caught him breaking into her car. The second group is mental imagery verbs such as conceive of, imagine, picture, recall, remember. And C. The C in this group is for visualizing. For example, I can easily imagine Fred doing something like that.
Using manipulative influence verbs in complements. This is intermediate to advanced. The teacher will teach meanings of manipulative influence verbs that students may not be familiar with, while demonstrating that they have the same complement structure. Secondly, the teacher will prepare a series of open-ended questions that could appropriately answer with the verbs and that are followed by a more specific questions, using one of the verbs and writing it on the board. Example, advise, authorize, force, get, make, order, persuade, tell, urge. Underneath the verbs, write both open-ended and specific questions. Example, what would you do if you wanted to go to a party with a good friend who didn't want to go with you? Would you order him or her to come with you? Ask the students these questions. The teacher must reply by saying, no, you wouldn't order him or her, would you? You don't usually order your friend to do something you want to do you? What's a better verb to replace order? When a student answered persuade or urge, the teacher will say, yes, you would persuade your friend to come with you. Proceed this activity with questions whose answer could contain other verbs you listed. Also include some that students may not know as well. Expectation verbs and their complements. This is also intermediate to advanced. Self-improvement sort of activities could serve as a basis to practice expectation verbs such as want, expect, hate, and hope. Ask the students to suggest things that people might do to improve themselves, for example, lose weight or exercise more. Then demonstrate the activity by describing an imagery course of improvement that the students and their pair undertook. The objective of this activity will be to practice both patterns that can occur to verbs. Example, I wanted to learn how to defend myself and get in shape, and my friend wanted to do this too. So we both decided to take a karate class. When we started, I expected to earn my black belt in a few weeks. My friend expected to earn her black belt in a few weeks too. But I just couldn't keep up with her. She was in a better shape than I was, and she really learned all the moves faster than I did. I really hoped to keep up with her, but I couldn't. She already has her black belt, but I still don't have one. Okay, have the students pair off and describe an imagery self-improvement project that they undertook with a friend. Then can add as many details as they wish as long as they use some expectation verbs.
Hi guys, thank you for watching mine and Ardini's video. I hope you guys enjoy and understand about it. Thank you.